In the small town of Ravenswood, nestled deep within the shadows of ancient forests, stood St Agnes Hospital, an imposing structure with a dark history. Legends whispered about the hospital being cursed, but the locals dismissed such tales as mere superstition. That was until the fateful night when Dr. Emily Harris, a renowned surgeon, was called in for an emergency. It was a stormy evening, lightning streaking across the sky like ethereal fingers. Dr. Harris, tired but dedicated, arrived at St. Agnes to find the emergency room bustling with activity. A gravely injured patient named Sarah Thornton had been rushed in after a car accident. The paramedic spoke in hushed tones about a mysterious figure appearing on the road, causing the crash. As Dr. Harris prepared for surgery, she couldn't shake an unsettling feeling that clung to the air like a suffocating fog. The operating room lights flickered intermittently, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Despite her unease, Dr. Harris began the surgery. As the scalpel made its first incision, the room seemed to grow colder. Unexplained whispers echoed through the air, and the heart monitor emitted an irregular beat that mirrored the uneasy rhythm of the night. Dr. Harris pressed on, trying to focus on the task at hand. Suddenly, the lights went out completely, plunging the room into darkness. Panic set in as the emergency generators failed to kick in. In the pitch-black room, Dr. Harris could hear shuffling footsteps and the sound of labored breathing. She fumbled for a flashlight, her hands trembling. When the flashlight finally pierced the darkness, Dr. Harris gasped. Standing at the foot of the operating table was a spectral figure, clad in tattered hospital robes. Its hollow eyes stared into her soul, and an otherworldly chill filled the room. Unable to comprehend the supernatural apparition before her, Dr. Harris stumbled backward. The ghostly figure extended a bony hand towards her, and a ghostly voice whispered, "Release her." Terrified, Dr. Harris hesitated, but the figure's demand grew more urgent. With a shaky breath, she completed the surgery, and as she finished, the room was bathed in an otherworldly light. The ghostly figure slowly faded away, leaving only a haunting echo in the air. Sarah Thornton miraculously recovered, but Dr. Harris was forever changed. She resigned from St. Agnes Hospital, unable to shake the memory of that harrowing night. The legend of the haunted hospital persisted, passed down through the generations, a chilling reminder that some stories are best left undisturbed in the shadows. Years passed, and the legend of St. Agnes Hospital endured, becoming a cautionary tale shared in hushed tones among the town's residents. The hospital itself fell into disrepair, its once sterile halls now echoing with the ghosts of the past. Enter Dr. James Carter, a young and ambitious surgeon seeking new challenges. Unaware of the town's eerie history, Dr. Carter accepted a position at St. Agnes Hospital, drawn by the promise of professional growth. His arrival stirred uneasy whispers among the hospital staff, but he dismissed them as mere gossip. On his first night, Dr. Carter was assigned the graveyard shift in the emergency room. The air was heavy with an unspoken tension as he tended to routine cases. As the clock struck midnight, strange occurrences began to unfold. Equipment malfunctioned inexplicably, and distant echoes of footsteps reverberated through empty hallways. Dr. Carter, determined to prove his resilience, shrugged off the peculiar incidents. However, the hospital had other plans for him. During a routine procedure, the lights flickered ominously, and the temperature in the room plummeted. Dr. Carter's breath hung in the air like a spectral mist. The atmosphere thickened with an otherworldly presence, and a ghastly voice echoed through the room, repeating a haunting refrain, "They never learn." In a panic, Dr. Carter tried to escape the room, but the door slammed shut with an otherworldly force. Shadows danced on the walls, coalescing into twisted forms that seemed to reach out for him. He could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon him, and the temperature continued to drop. Desperation set in as Dr. Carter fumbled for his phone to call for help. But the device was eerily unresponsive. Just as he thought he was trapped in a nightmare, the ghostly figure from years past materialized before him. The same hollow eyes bore into his soul, and the voice echoed, "Release them." Driven by fear and a newfound understanding, Dr. Carter vowed to honor the spirits of the hospital. With a trembling hand, he made a solemn promise to ensure the well-being of his patients, acknowledging the hospital's haunted legacy. As swiftly as it had begun, the paranormal activity ceased. The lights returned, and the temperature stabilized. The door creaked open, allowing Dr. Carter to escape the clutches of the supernatural. From that night on, he became a guardian of St. Agnes, devoted to preserving the delicate balance between the living and the dead. The legend persisted, but now it carried a glimmer of hope, a tale of a doctor who, in the face of the supernatural, found redemption and forged a connection with the spirits that lingered in the shadows of St. Agnes Hospital. In the quiet town of Greenwood, perched on the edge of a dense and foreboding forest, St. Bartholomew's Hospital stood as a looming sentinel, casting long shadows over the townspeople's lives. The hospital, though modern and well-equipped, held a dark secret that whispered through the corridors like a ghostly breeze. Dr. Samantha Miller, a seasoned physician known for her unwavering dedication, found herself assigned to the night shift in St. Bartholomew's emergency room. Rumors of strange occurrences had circulated for years, but Dr. Miller, a rational and pragmatic woman, dismissed them as the products of overactive imaginations. One stormy night, the hospital was thrust into chaos when a series of accidents flooded the emergency room with injured patients. Among them was a mysterious man named Elias Blackwood, found unconscious at the edge of the forest. His presence ignited a sense of unease among the hospital staff, as if a dormant force had awakened. As Dr. Miller examined Elias, she couldn't shake the feeling that his injuries were not the result of a mere accident. His body bore strange symbols, etched as if by an unseen hand. The ominous atmosphere in the room grew thicker, and the lights flickered with an unsettling rhythm. Undeterred by the mounting tension, Dr. Miller decided to perform a routine surgery to address Elias's injuries. The operating room, bathed in the sterile glow of surgical lights, became a battleground between the tangible and the ethereal. As Dr. Miller made the first incision, an icy wind swept through the room, extinguishing the lights. Shadows danced on the walls, and the low hum of disembodied whispers filled the air. The heart monitor emitted an irregular beat, synchronized with the mysterious cadence of the night. In the darkness, a ghostly figure materialized at the foot of the operating table. A spectral woman, draped in a flowing gown, her eyes hollow and mournful. A sense of sorrow emanated from her presence, and her voice echoed through the room, "He is bound by the pact. Release him." Dr. Miller, paralyzed by fear, hesitated for a moment. The ghostly figure grew more insistent, repeating her plea. Elias's vital signs began to falter, and it became clear that the surgery was entangled with forces beyond the realm of medicine. Summoning every ounce of courage, Dr. Miller made a split-second decision. She altered her approach, combining medical expertise with an acknowledgement of the supernatural forces at play. The surgery continued, guided by an unseen hand, and as the final suture was stitched, the room was enveloped in an otherworldly light. The ghostly figure faded away, leaving behind a sense of profound gratitude. Elias Blackwood, now free from the mysterious pact, opened his eyes with clarity. The symbols on his body vanished, leaving no trace of the supernatural ordeal. As news of the miraculous recovery spread through Greenwood, St. Bartholomew's Hospital became a beacon of hope. Dr. Samantha Miller, forever changed by the experience, continued her work with a newfound respect for the delicate balance between science and the unknown. The legend of St. Bartholomew's persisted, but it transformed into a tale of redemption and understanding, a reminder that even in the face of the supernatural, compassion and knowledge could prevail. The hospital, once shrouded in darkness, emerged as a sanctuary where the boundaries between the living and the spectral were carefully navigated, ensuring the well-being of those who sought its care. Over time, Dr. Miller became an integral part of St. Bartholomew's Hospital, and her reputation as a compassionate and skilled physician spread far beyond the town of Greenwood. Patients from neighboring areas sought her expertise, and the hospital itself became a symbol of hope and healing. Despite the hospital's newfound positive reputation, there were still those who clung to the lingering tales of the supernatural. The townspeople, while grateful for the recoveries and the transformative atmosphere within St Bartholomew's, couldn't entirely shake the uneasy feeling that the forest and the hospital were intertwined in ways beyond their understanding. One chilly autumn evening, a series of peculiar events unfolded. Reports surfaced of strange sightings near the hospital's entrance, a mysterious figure wandering in the shadows, its presence unsettling those who crossed its path. Dr. Miller, intrigued by the stories, decided to investigate, her curiosity tempered by the lingering memories of the ghostly encounter with Elias Blackwood. As she approached the hospital entrance, a cold breeze rustled the leaves, and the air seemed charged with an otherworldly energy. The figure materialized before her, a spectral silhouette against the moonlit night. This time, it wasn't a patient in need, but a ghostly child with hollow eyes that seemed to hold the weight of unfulfilled dreams. The child spoke with a voice that echoed through the quiet night. "Help them find peace, Dr. Miller. The souls of the forgotten linger in the shadows. Release them from the bonds of the past." Determined to bring solace to the lingering spirits, Dr. Miller delved into the hospital's archives. She uncovered forgotten stories of patients who had passed away under mysterious circumstances, their pain and suffering etching an indelible mark on the hospital's history. These were the souls the ghostly child spoke of, forgotten, lost, and seeking release. With each revelation, Dr. Miller embarked on a mission to reconcile the hospital's past. She conducted ceremonies to honor the departed, offering prayers and symbolic gestures of remembrance. The hospital staff joined her in this endeavor, creating a sense of unity that transcended the boundary between the living and the spectral. As the rituals unfolded, the hospital's atmosphere began to change. The eerie whispers that once haunted the hallways transformed into gentle breezes, carrying a sense of peace. The shadows that danced on the walls now seemed to be a reflection of the hospital's rich history, rather than a source of fear. Greenwood, once wary of the hospital's mysteries, embraced the transformation. St Bartholomew's became a place of healing not only for the living but also for the souls who had long been forgotten. The ghostly child, having found solace in Dr. Miller's efforts, vanished into the night, leaving behind a profound sense of closure. Dr. Miller continued her work, not just as a physician but as a caretaker of the stories that echoed within the hospital's walls. The legend of St. Bartholomew's persisted, but now it carried a message of redemption, unity, and the eternal connection between the past and the present, a reminder that even in the face of the unknown, compassion and understanding could bridge the gap between the living and the departed. In the heart of the picturesque town of Ravenspire, where ancient oak trees cast long shadows over cobblestone streets, Ravenspire Hospital stood as a solemn sentinel. Dr. Jonathan Harris, a seasoned surgeon with a reputation for his unflinching resolve, found himself at the epicenter of an inexplicable and haunting medical mystery. One chilly autumn night, the hospital was plunged into chaos as a series of gravely injured patients arrived, all victims of a peculiar incident. A bus, carrying passengers returning from a town festival, careened off a cliff near the outskirts of Ravenspire. The details were sketchy, but rumors whispered about a spectral figure appearing on the road, causing the driver to lose control. As Dr. Harris prepared to lead the surgical team, an eerie stillness settled over the hospital. The lights flickered intermittently, casting unsettling shadows on the walls. Ignoring the ominous atmosphere, Dr. Harris scrubbed in, determined to save lives. The operating room, usually a haven of sterility, felt different that night. The air seemed charged with an otherworldly energy, and the distant howling of the wind echoed through the halls like a mournful lament. As the first incision was made, the lights flickered wildly, and the room was plunged into darkness. Suddenly, a ghastly glow illuminated the surgical suite, revealing a ghostly figure at the foot of the operating table. The figure, a woman in a tattered hospital gown, appeared translucent, her eyes hollow and fixated on Dr. Harris. A chilling voice echoed, "Release them, or doom will befall Ravenspire." Dr. Harris, caught between the realms of medicine and the supernatural, felt an inexplicable pull to heed the ghostly figure's plea. The patients on the operating table seemed to teeter on the edge of life and death, their fates entwined with forces beyond medical understanding. As the ghostly woman's voice grew more urgent, Dr. Harris made a pivotal decision. He altered his approach, combining medical expertise with a newfound acknowledgement of the spectral forces at play. The surgery became a delicate dance between the living and the departed, as if the hospital itself held the key to a cosmic equilibrium. In the midst of this ethereal ballet, the ghostly figure slowly dissipated, leaving behind a hushed silence. The light steadied, and the temperature in the room returned to normal. The patients, once hovering on the brink of death, stabilized miraculously. News of the supernatural event spread like wildfire through Ravenspire, and the hospital became a magnet for the curious and the skeptical alike. Dr. Harris, forever changed by the spectral encounter, found himself drawn into a labyrinth of mysteries that transcended the boundaries of science. As the seasons changed, so did the hospital. The once sterile corridors now seemed to harbor the echoes of the supernatural encounter. Patients reported fleeting glimpses of ghostly figures, and whispers of mysterious healings circulated through the town. Ravenspire Hospital became a beacon for those seeking both medical and spiritual solace. Dr. Harris, guided by a newfound understanding, delved into the town's history. He discovered tales of a tragic event in the hospital's past, a fire that claimed the lives of patients and staff. The ghostly figure, it seemed, was a specter bound by the unresolved pain of that fateful night. Determined to bring peace to the lingering spirits, Dr. Harris embarked on a quest to unravel the hospital's haunted history. With the help of local historians and spiritual guides, he conducted ceremonies to honor the departed souls, acknowledging the tragedy that had occurred within the hospital's walls. As the rituals unfolded, the hospital underwent a transformation. The once ghostly figures became benevolent guardians, their presence comforting rather than foreboding. The legend of Ravenspire Hospital evolved from a tale of horror to a narrative of redemption and unity between the living and the spectral. Years later, as Dr. Harris looked back on the enigmatic events, Ravenspire Hospital stood as a testament to the delicate dance between science and the supernatural. The town embraced its haunted history, celebrating the hospital not as a place of fear, but as a sanctuary where the veil between worlds was thin, and healing transcended the boundaries of the seen and the unseen. The legend of Ravenspire Hospital lived on, whispered through generations as a reminder that even in the face of the unknown, compassion and understanding could bridge the gap between the living and the departed. Dr. Harris, now revered as a figure of wisdom and compassion, continued to navigate the delicate balance between medicine and the supernatural. His reputation attracted not only patients seeking physical healing but also those seeking closure for their own encounters with the spectral. Ravenspire Hospital became a hub for the study of paranormal medicine, drawing researchers, spiritualists, and skeptics alike. The once haunted corridors echoed with the footsteps of those curious about the intersection of science and the ethereal. Dr. Harris, with a team of experts in various fields, delved into the mysteries of the hospital's past, conducting experiments and documenting unexplained phenomena. One day, a renowned psychic medium named Evelyn Hartman arrived in Ravenspire. Drawn by the tales of the hospital's spectral history, she sought to connect with the lingering spirits and unlock the secrets that eluded even the most seasoned investigators. In a dimly lit room within the hospital, Dr. Harris and Evelyn conducted a seance. The air grew thick with anticipation as they called out to the spirits that lingered within the walls. Whispers filled the room, and shadows seemed to dance in response to the unseen energies. Suddenly, a spectral figure materialized before them. It was the same ghostly woman who had appeared during the surgery years ago. Her eyes, though hollow, held a glimmer of recognition. Dr. Harris and Evelyn listened intently as the spirit spoke of the hospital's tragic past, a tale of lost love, betrayal, and unfulfilled promises. As the story unfolded, it became clear that the hospital's spectral residents were not malevolent entities but souls bound by unresolved emotions. Dr. Harris, moved by the revelation, pledged to bring peace to these lost souls, not just for the sake of Ravenspire but for the sake of the departed themselves. In the following weeks, the hospital became a center for spiritual healing. Dr. Harris, working in tandem with Evelyn and other spiritual guides, conducted rituals to help the lingering spirits find closure. The hospital's haunted history became a catalyst for community healing, as residents and descendants of those affected by the past events participated in ceremonies to honor and remember. The once haunted hospital now stood as a beacon of unity and understanding, bridging the gap between the living and the departed. The legends of Ravenspire Hospital transformed into stories of resilience, compassion, and the power of acknowledging the unseen forces that shape our lives. As the years passed, Ravenspire became known not only for its quaint charm but also for its unique place in the intersection of science and the supernatural. Dr. Harris, though retired from surgery, continued to share his experiences and insights, guiding the next generation of researchers and healers who were drawn to the enigmatic legacy of Ravenspire Hospital. And so, the tale of Ravenspire Hospital continued to echo through time, reminding those who listened that within the realms of mystery and the unknown, there existed opportunities for healing, growth, and the unending pursuit of understanding the delicate dance between the seen and the unseen.